Okay. Now, what is this? What is going on? Okay. We're live. Ready to go. Have everything set up. Let's get that scoreboard off. We'll pause that. Go to the first one, and then we'll get going with Hot Take Tuesday. There we go. We'll start with that. All right, everyone. Welcome to Hot Take Tuesday. This is Jason. I'm going to be your host for today, bringing you a segment for the fans, from the fans, on my Discord server. I go to the Discord server and I ask for hot takes every single Tuesday. So if you'd like to be involved in the future, go join that Discord. So let's get going. Let's get started. We have 4 hot takes today from the Discord. Appreciate you guys coming by. Appreciate the hot takes that were given. But we have a couple of really good ones today. And the first one I really like a lot. He has, this is Tones. He says that the Giants will make the playoffs as the 7th seed. Look, the Giants have a decent team. They have some good pieces put together there. I like what they're building. I like the future, but they're not ready in a conference that is insane. The NFC is going to be really difficult for the Giants to compete in. But before we talk about the rest of those teams, let's talk about the rest of the schedule, because you're going to have to win your own games before you can talk about playoffs. Making sure my mic is unmuted. I do that all the time. I start, my mic is muted, and the first couple of minutes are just botched almost every time, but not this time. So the Giants' schedule, they play. It's a tough schedule on the surface of it, but they have a shot. I'm gonna say their ceiling is 9-8, and their floor is 6-11. Even at 9-8, I don't think that's enough to make the playoffs in the NFC. You look at some of the teams that you have on the NFC. Just to rattle off a few, you have the Eagles, Niners. If the Niners can get healthy, they're gonna make it. You have the Rams, the Bucks, the Seahawks. All those teams. I think I said the Lions. All those teams are capable of winning the NFC and going to the Super Bowl. Then you have the Packers. Dallas with their offense, they could be sneaky, but their defense is so bad it'd be difficult, similar to Washington. Although Washington can get good pressure, secondary is, Minnesota kind of without a quarterback right now. And then a couple of other teams is, I already talked about Tampa Bay. You have Atlanta. I think Atlanta is an interesting team. I think the Falcons are one of the more talented young teams in the NFL. One of the more talented teams in general. So, but it's just a quarterback situation for them. If Carson Wentz can just not make the bonus, I honestly think Carson Wentz gives them the best chance to win right now over J.J. McCarthy. And I just don't know if McCarthy's future there in Minnesota. Just has not looked good when he was on the field. He had one good quarter. That was it. But the Giants, this is the schedule they have to go to. Let's go through every game, and I want to tell you which games I think they're going to win and lose. So Saints probably beat the Saints, and then they play the Eagles. I say they win this game versus the Eagles. I'm giving the Giants they're going to climb back to 3-3. Give them this one versus the Eagles. That Giants defensive line, that front seven is gross. They're going to give Jalen Hurts hell. The issue with the Giants is their secondary is not. It doesn't really play to the way that they want to call defense. They want to call a lot of man coverage, and Deontay Banks, that should be his strength, but he struggled. This Giants defense has a really good front seven. They have some really strong pieces on the defense in general, but the secondary is rough. But I think they sneak one away against the Eagles. And I believe this one's at home, and I'm gonna say they sneak this one away against the Eagles, and they find a way to climb back to 3-3. But the next couple of weeks, you have Denver, Eagles, again, Niners. I say you lose all 3 of those. I say you could, you have a good chance to beat the Broncos or the Niners. Both teams will really give your man coverage fits all day long. Broncos, Cam Sutton, Franklin. Both of those teams can run the football. Eagles can run the football too, and that's kind of been an issue with the Giants, to stop the run. They have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. So, in terms of them allowing rushing yards, they are one of the worst. And it's not good, especially when, a lot of these teams you're playing, they like to run the football. But I do think they still find a way to sneak one out against the Eagles. I think they're just going to, find a way. I think they're just going to find a way. They already have that confidence building from that Chargers game. By the way, Jackson Dart, good start to his career. I mean, he was 13 to 20, 111 passing yards, 2 total touchdowns. It's not a bad start. It's not a bad first career start versus a Jesse Minter led defense. Very, very good Chargers defense, very well rounded. So that's a good start. 111 passing yards, 13 for 20. That's solid. And that's only going to help build his confidence and this Giants team confidence in general. My biggest issue, though, as I'm talking about these games, is I think the penalties, I think the undisciplined nature of this team, they are one of the worst teams in terms of, the amount of penalties that they commit. They commit almost 9 penalties a game, around 8.8 if you want to be exact. So they're very undisciplined, and it feels like it comes in some big moments. But other than that, then you go to the rushing offense. The rushing offense is pretty strong. Cam Scatterboo is a monster, Tracy Tyrone, and then you add Jackson Dart to the mix. It's a really good rushing game. It's just the offense that, the offensive line that really makes you question some things. And then, there are some really good pieces in this Giants team. They have good skill position players. I think Jalen Hyatt's going to step up. I think, with Neighbors going down, they have a bunch of guys that can make plays. Slayton can make plays. Wandale can make plays. You guys have taken over games, have had big games in the past, but can they be consistent? Sometimes when you don't have that number one guy like Neighbors is that one guy that Dart can rely on, can look to on third downs, big fourth downs. And, Neighbors is just one of those guys that if you need a big play, Dart's like, yeah, that's my guy. Now it's kind of like, it's easier to think about it too much when you have a bunch of really good weapons. You know what I mean? And Theo Johnson's awesome too. The Giants have a lot of really good pieces in place, a lot of good skill position players. The defense, I think they could, if they could work on that secondary in the offseason a little bit, get another offensive lineman or two. With Andrew Thomas coming back, you still have him at left tackle. I mean, this Giants team is young, and I think they're gonna need a new head coach still. I'm not a fan of Brian Dable. I'm not a fan of the coaching staff they have there now at all. But if they could get a better coach in there, discipline these guys, help coach them up, I think the Giants could. And depending on Dart's development, we'll see how he continues to play. How it's one thing to be able to have a good first couple of games, but once some of those defenses, other teams are getting the film, the film's out there, okay, they get attacked. This about Dart's game, maybe they can limit that. If we'll see how Jackson Dart can evolve is what I'm trying to get at here, because the offense line is going to make it hard to, but also when you have a run game the way you do, when you have a quarterback that can run like crazy, it also makes defensive lines respect that, so they can't just rush like crazy. They have to respect rush lanes. They have to kind of be careful a little bit with how aggressive they get rushing Jackson Dart, because he will make you pay in the ground. He is very athletic. So it was a promising first game from Dart, and I think the Giants have a promising future. They have a lot of, like I said, they have a lot of talent on this team. But back to the schedule, kind of got off the schedule there. But like we were saying, I think they have a chance to win either Denver or San Fran game. San Fran's getting more healthy, so that's gonna be tough. I say they have a better chance to beat Denver, but that's gonna be a tough one as well. There's a good chance that they lose all 4 of these games. I say they beat the Saints. They should absolutely beat the Saints. Although the Saints' offense is interesting, I think that the Saints and the Giants game is actually going to be a sneaky game to watch. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. I think we're going to see a lot of offense. That's if Spencer Rattler can get the ball out quick, take care of the football, which he has been. Saints offense is capable of making big plays. And the Saints could run the football. Kamara, Gondre, Um, so that's going to be a good game, but that's a must win. If you lose to the Saints here, it's going to be tough to win one of the 4 next games or 2 of the 4. I think they could. The NFL, anything could happen, but there's a good chance they lose, those 4 games right there. But then you have, after San Fran, you have Chicago. I think you beat Chicago. Green Bay, the way Jordan Love is playing, 50-50. Jordan Love has not been playing good. Although the Green Bay defense is wild. Maybe this is when other teams start getting those game plans in there for Dart, and they start figuring things out. Hey, we could do this. We could attack this about Dart's game. So that's something to watch out there. Detroit, I don't think they beat Detroit. New England, I have New England beating them. This game could go either way as well, but I think New England is a better football team. They've been sneaky. Mike Vrabel is a very good head coach, and he will have them fight and claw in every single game. The Commanders, you already lost to them once. I say you could beat them the next time. That front seven is so good, but then it's just the man coverage. Could the man coverage withheld? Could they stay strong? But Washington with Debo, they have so many guys that can beat man coverage as well. Jaden Daniels, we'll see. Minnesota, they have one of the best rosters in the NFL. It's just the quarterback situation is bad. Kind of my issue with them. The Raiders, I say you beat the Raiders. Should beat the Raiders. And then you have Dallas, to top it off. And I say they lose to Dallas twice just because of Dallas's offense. I just think that's a bad matchup for the Giants. I know the Giants week 1, or week 2, they pretty much gave the Cowboys all they could handle, but I still don't think they beat the Cowboys here because their defense just does not match up well against Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, good chance he is back by this time. But I say their ceiling is 9-8, and their floor is probably like 4-13. And, I'm probably going to go in the middle and say they go 6-11 and they don't make the playoffs. I just think the way the offensive line is, the secondary is struggling at times, the way the secondary is played, and just the nature of this conference, I don't think so. I'm actually going to go piping hot. I don't see them making it over. Let's go through the teams again. You have Philly, San Fran, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Rams. Those are 6 teams right there. Those are 6 teams right there that I can almost guarantee you that make the playoffs, and that sounds crazy. Maybe San Fran doesn't because of the injuries, but they're going to get healthy. They're so well coached. They'll find a way, I think. Green Bay. You have Washington. You have Atlanta. Tough. It's tough, and then you don't even know if you'll beat Minnesota. Really, none of these games are given to them. None of these games, I say the most confidence I have in them in winning any of these last games is probably Chicago. I'm saying last games like they have 4 games left, but it's just they have a hard schedule. I could see New England, the Raiders, so that's 4 more wins right there. So maybe the floor is like 4 or 5 wins. The ceiling is like 8 or 9 wins if they could pull off a couple of upsets and win the games against some of those other bad teams. But I believe if the Giants had better coaching, I think I would maybe give them more of a chance. But I'm not a fan of the coaching. I'm not a fan of Brian Dable. He's all happy and cheery when things are going well, but when things aren't going well, it's not good. His attitude changes. His demeanor on the sideline is not good. I'm just not a fan of Brian Dable. I'm not a fan of the way he composes himself with the media. It is tough media to deal with in New York, but that's or Jersey technically, but yeah. Piping hot. I don't see it, Tones. I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed this topic, but I don't see it right away. DJ, it'd be cool. So, DJ thinks that the Colts are going to be 9-1 going through the bye, or it's his hot take anyways. The Colts have looked good, and you could say that they should have won that game versus Rams. Shoulda, woulda, could have. It's gone. But that is important to note because the Rams, I believe, are one of the best, if not the best team in the NFC. I'm not here to debate if they're the best, but they're up there. Matthew Stafford just torched them. It's the secondary that's the issue. They are beginning to get more and more pressure every week. Latu is becoming into his own. We'll say the first 2 weeks, the first couple weeks, I wasn't a fan of Latu. I really didn't think he was playing as well as PFF thought. But this past game versus the Rams, Latu was a big difference maker. It felt like he was getting the back. He was pressuring all day long, really. But let's look at the rest of the schedule. I do think that the Colts are legit. I know you see all the Colts stuff and you're like, yeah, no shit, he's gonna think the Colts are legit. But if you know anything about me, I'm honest. I'm not biased. But the Colts are legit. They have the weapons. If Daniel Jones, I kind of wonder in big moments, he did kind of have to push the ball down the field, but the throwing interception to start and end the game, not ideal. But Daniel Jones still played a really good game. Let's not, just because he threw 3 interceptions, actually should have been 3. Even if he did throw 3, he still bounced back after that interception. He didn't compound it into worse mistakes, which you've seen happen in New York, but that's just kind of like how that team was when he was there. Like, no offensive line, it was very, it was easy to compound, mistakes and make them worse. Bad offensive line, say you throw 1 interception, then you fumble it. I mean, the Colts put up a game against, one of the best teams there, and the defense can make enough plays when needed. It's just those mistakes by A.D. Mitchell. JT is one of the best running backs in the league, and then Tyler Warren. Like, you have so many options on this offense. This team has so many positives. The offense, I don't think there's a weakness in the offense. One of the best offensive lines. They can run the ball at will. I don't see a weakness in the offense. I really don't. Defense, on the other hand, the secondary is rough. A lot of people are bashing Lou Anarumo. Stop it. It's not warranted. The defensive play where there were 10 players in the field, that warrants a lot of criticism. That warrants a lot of talk. I can't defend him there, but you also have to look at what you just went up against. You went up against the hottest quarterback in the National Football League, with the hottest receiver in the National Football League, one of the best number twos in the NFL with Devontae Adams, and Tutu Atwell makes plays. Higbee, Kyron Williams, one of the better run games, good offensive line. The defense still made plays and found a way to limit the Rams to 27. Felt like it should have been more because the Rams did have a couple of plays there where they committed penalties and set them back. The Colts, not on their best day, still put up a fight against the best team in the NFC. But let's talk about these games going into the bye. We have 6 games. Yeah, and so DJ thinks we're going to go 9-1. This is my prediction going into bye. I say the Raiders, you beat the Raiders, and then I have them losing to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a weird team. The Colts should beat them. I say there's a chance that the Colts lose either to the Raiders or the Cardinals. The Raiders are going to fight. And if the Colts aren't careful, you're coming off of that loss versus the Rams where, you had a chance to win it. You have to come back and you have to respond. Teams know you're good now. It's different when you're good. It's different when you're good. You have to remain in that hustle. You have to, you have to respond and beat the Raiders. This is a big test. I don't care if it's the Raiders. The Raiders are scratchy. They're going to claw. They're going to fight in this game. And they're not going to go down without a fight. I say you do beat the Raiders, though. Cardinals, I say you lose. Cardinals are an interesting football team. They just can't stay consistent. If the Cardinals could put together a full football game, they're dangerous. And that's another team I didn't even bring up when I'm talking about NFC teams. I think the Cardinals are probably a better football team than the Giants. Maybe. Ooh, that's an interesting one. I don't know about that. But Cardinals, I say to lose the Cardinals. You're going to lose games that you don't expect to lose. It's just the NFL. And I just think that this is going to be a trap game, and I think the Colts are going to play into it. I think the Cardinals are going to find a way to beat the Colts here. Colts are at home though too, so we'll see. But then the Chargers, you go back to LA, and then I say you get your redemption in LA. You go back to LA, you're like, okay, you get to go back to the stadium, you get another shot at it. But this time, it's in the AFC. This time, it is very, very. It's not like that game wasn't important when we played the Rams, but this game, it's in the AFC. And potentially the Chargers are one of those teams that are going to be up there towards the end of the season. So if you're one of those teams, I think the Colts are one of those teams that are going to have a high win, a high win count. They're going to get a lot of wins this year. You want to beat these teams in the AFC that are expected to be up there. And if you could beat the Chargers, the Chiefs is the next toughest game after the bye. But there's a game here that I will talk about down the stretch here. I do have the Colts losing 2 going into the bye. You'll see. I say you find a way to beat the Chargers, though. Chargers' offense line is really beat up. Chargers' defense scares me, most definitely. But I think that the Colts offense is going to do their job, and I think that they're going to be able to do enough to win that game versus the Chargers. They're going to go back to LA, and they're going to respawn being back in LA by beating the Chargers. I have it. I'm marking it down. I have a feeling about that game that the Colts are going to win it. Titans. You should beat the Titans. Titans, Brian Callahan, you're probably going to have a new coach in there by then, still figuring things out. Maybe you have someone step up within. I'm always for that. But I really think the Titans just need to clean house and find someone new. But you're probably going to have someone within step up for the intern job at least. Tennessee. I say you beat Tennessee. You're at home versus them, and then you're playing Pittsburgh. You're away for Pittsburgh. I say you beat the Steelers. They are 3-1 right now, but the Steelers are beatable. And I think the Colts are just straight up just a better football team than the Steelers. It's just a matter of fact, are they going to make those mistakes? And the Steelers' defense is vulnerable, and Shane Steichen has, for some reason, had zero problems with Mike Tomlin. Shane Steichen has been able to, Shane Steichen hasn't lost at Mike Tomlin yet. He knows how to attack his defense, and you just got to be careful. Pittsburgh can turn the ball over. They are sneaky in that aspect. And then you have Atlanta. This is that loss. This is the other loss. I could see the Colts going 7-3 into the bye. That's my prediction. And that's good. Don't sit there and be like 7-3. There's no way the Colts lose to the Cardinals. There's no way the Colts lose to the Falcons. I don't want to hear that bullshit. It's the NFL. These are all professionals, and Atlanta is very talented. Atlanta is a good football team, and I think that's going to be a dogfight. That's going to be an awesome game. The Colts should win it. I think they will because Raheem Morris does not have that team ready at all. At all. Not a fan of Raheem Morris. I think he's holding the Falcons back. But it's very possible the Colts go 8-2 or 9-1. It's very possible. The hardest game in that stretch is the Chargers. And I say they win that game, but there are a couple of games that are sneaky and teams that could beat the Colts. I do think the Colts are the better team than the Cardinals and the Falcons. But the better team doesn't always win. So I think 7-3 is fair. But 9-1 means you have to win every single one of these games. You have to be on a 6-game win streak going into bye. And that'd be awesome. Could you imagine that game versus Kansas City? Could you imagine that game going? I think it is in Kansas City, the Chiefs and the Colts. The Colts haven't lost to the Chiefs in the regular season yet. Just throwing that out there. Don't know what it is. Patrick Mahomes is just not beating them in the regular season. Playoffs, yeah. I'll always have a little sour spot for Patrick Mahomes because he sent Andrew Luck into retirement. That was... But we'll move on from that. Yeah. I say the floor going into bye, it's 5-5. There's a chance the Colts are 5-5. You could win 2 more. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Raiders. They beat Tennessee, but none of those other games are givens. Pittsburgh's not a given. Atlanta's not a given. Arizona's not a given. They're not givens. And not really none of these games are. But 5-5 is possible. I don't think so. I think the team is way too good to be 5-5 going in a bye that late. But you really never know. And the ceiling is 9-1. What we have here. Maybe 8-2 is more realistic for the ceiling. But I'm gonna go hot. I'm gonna say the Colts aren't 9-1 going to bye. I'm gonna say 7-3 or 8-2 is more likely. Maybe even 6-4 is possible too. But yeah, I mean, the Colts are a good football team, but they have to, it's different when you are a good football team and then teams know it as well. The expectation is there, and this is a legit football team. They're legit. But not every game is given. Not every game is... I don't think they win every game going to the bye. All right. Another good one. Jeez. Tyler Warren. Head of the table has Tyler... Oh, wait. I didn't even give... Oh, no. DJ be cool. I give him a shout out. Tomorrow night, DJ Be Cool is actually going to be hosting Cody Felger from the Bring the Juice Colts podcast, and they're going to be giving the Colts quarterly report card. So make sure you guys stick around. You're ready 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night for that. Tyler Warren, Rookie of the Year. Straight up, I'm just going to go hot. And I've seen some posts about people being like, he's kind of some Colts fans, just Colts fans, saying that Tyler Warren's a lock to win. Pretty much a lock, saying like, some sites are giving him like a 9% percentage to win Offense Rookie of the Year, and Colts fans aren't too happy about it. I say that's fair. There is a lot of competition this year with rookies, especially offensive rookies. I mean, gosh damn, dude. You have Ashton Genty, who just had a big game, his big breakout game. You have Amarian Hampton, Ibuka, Quinshon Junkins is looking good. McMillan from the Panthers, the receiver, absolutely love his game. You have Cam Ward as possible. Cam Scattaboo, the way he's been playing. You have Dylan Gabriel, who's going to be getting the nod in Cleveland. I watch out for Cleveland, bro. Watch out for Cleveland with Dylan Gabriel starting. I like Dylan Gabriel. And if you need to know more about Dylan Gabriel, you want some professional analysis, go to ECG. Dante, he's talked about Dylan Gabriel. He'll tell you about Dylan Gabriel, and I think he is going to be in the conversation towards the end of the year. I think he's going to play good football. His weapons aren't there, but I mean they're inconsistent. I like Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy's inconsistent. They just and Njoku and Fannin. I think Junkins, the offensive line is good enough. The Browns are going to be interesting. Dylan Gabriel is going to be interesting. I think he could be a dark horse to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Woody Marks for the Texans, a running back for the Texans who's been absolutely incredible. He's been getting more and more time. It's another name to watch. It's just, and Tyler Warren. Let me give you some numbers for some of these guys. Tyler Warren has 263 receiving yards, 1 touchdown on the ground. 19 receptions and 13.8 yards per reception. That's good. I mean, and there's also a lot of dark production. I'm going to bring up a new term. I'm going to start a new term here. It's called dark production. It's a production that you can't see in the box score, that you can't see in just the numbers. You have to actually watch the game and see that Tyler Warren, the way that he affects defenses are already having to watch Tyler Warren closely because he's been making big-time plays in big-time moments the first couple weeks already. I'm telling you, Tyler Warren has been awesome, and there's a lot of dark production there where he's blocking really well. He lines up wherever and makes big-time plays and makes it really unpredictable. So Tyler Warren is... You gotta watch with Tyler Warren. He's good, but winning Offensive Rookie Year, it's gonna be tough because there's a lot of competition. Emeka Ibuka has 282 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns already. I think if you had to pick one now, it's Emeka Ibuka. 100%. But there's a lot of volume on that offense. So when Mike Evans is healthy, and I have Chris Godwin already back, they like to run the football. Bucky Irvin, Rashad White, Kate Otton's a decent tight end. Um, there's a lot of volume, so maybe the volume can take away his production. But then, like I said, there's also this new term that I'm going to start bringing up as dark production. Defenses have to watch out for him. When you get Mike Evans back, teams are going to be focused on Mike Evans, and then you have Godwin, and then it makes it easier for Ibuka as well. So Ibuka's in for a massive rookie season, and dude is a dog. Genty, let's see if he could be consistent. I think that's going to be the thing with Tim beginning with just the way the Raiders are built. I think they're going to be playing from behind quite a bit this season, just the nature of their the team. They're not the juggernaut, so to say. They're really not that team. But if Genty could be consistent, then I think he's got a shot. But I don't think I think Amari and Hampton actually has a better shot to win it. Even Cam Scatterwood, if he keeps playing the way he does, I think he's got a better shot. And then you have McMillan. Judkins has been awesome, 237 rushing yards for 2 touchdowns on 49 carries. And Hampton, I don't know why the Chargers don't get the ball to Hampton more. Hampton should have like 350 plus rushing yards. Just give him the ball more. Just give him the ball more. I don't know why they didn't do versus the Giants more. They should have. Woody Marks is another guy. Woody Marks has a lot of, and that's something, dark production isn't really talked about, especially when giving these awards. But Tyler Warren being Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going hot. I was thinking about piping hot, but I can't say absolutely not. I'm just saying hot, and saying that it's a bit unlikely because of just the competition and how many other young rookies are performing at the way they are in the NFL right now. It's tough. Not going to be easy. It's possible if he keeps playing the way he does. Heck, absolutely he could. But to do it for beginning of the season, then to do it for the rest of the season, for a full season, that's a whole nother battle, man. It's a whole nother battle. And the same goes for the rest of these guys as well. But I'm going hot with this one. I do like this take. It's possible. It's there. All right. Then you got Silver Sabs for our last hot take of the evening. He thinks that Zadarius Smith will finish with 20 total tackles for losses and sacks. If you're saying separately, no. That's piping right there. In total, like altogether, like combined TFLs and sacks, I'll go Warm. I'll say it's a bit unlikely. Obviously, anything could happen. But I'm saying it's a bit unlikely because, the way you could talk about things is just a double-edged sword in almost every scenario in football. Like, you could talk about how, with Nolan Smith going down, that does hurt, and that's going to, big reason why they bring in Zadarius Smith. But you have Jalen Carter in the middle there. You have the other kid from Georgia who's really good. You have a really good interior. The edge rush has been a lot to be desired. And I think Zadarius Smith, he's a veteran. He hasn't played too much as of late, but I think it's absolutely possible for him to get 20 TFLs and sacks. If they get that out of him, the Eagles would love that, but he has never even had over, I think I had it written down here, like 13 and a half sacks in the season. Don't scoff at 13 and a half sacks, and then he only needs about 6-7 TFLs, and it's possible, but I'm going to go Warm and say it's a little unlikely. He hasn't played football in a little while. He has a great talent. We'll see. Maybe he has one of those veteran resurgent years. We see that sometimes from players. They're a veteran, and then they have a really good season out of nowhere. You're kind of like, where did this come from? We thought this was gone. And they kind of had that one year where, all that juice is just, extracted out in that 1 year. And then after that, that's usually it. But, yeah. That's going to be it for Hot Take Tuesday here, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, stopping by. It was a good time. Had some good hot takes. Thank you, Head of the Table, Silver Sabs, Tones, DJ for all the hot takes this week. Shows coming up these next couple of days. You have tomorrow night, we're going to have Cody Felger and DJ Ebicool is going to be hosting him, talking, Colts Quarterly Report Card. Going to be a great show. Tune in, Colts fans. NFL fans, tune in on that one. It's going to be a good one. And then you have We have Just a Rival on Thursday night. You have DJ Be Cool and Aaron going on talking about Colts and Texans game, how it went last week, how it's going to go this week, and they also predict the primetime games. Good show there between two division rivals, and then you have the week. The weekly predictions are going to be coming out tonight, early morning, probably like 2 or 3 a.m., maybe earlier than that. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for me. So thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Network. Brand new look, brand new graphics package. We're changing some things up, trying to make things a little more simple instead of trying to make these graphics look too cool, so to speak. We're trying to make them be professional. Make it easier for you guys to look at. Make it easy on the eyes, but also pleasing to the eyes. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for me today. Appreciate you guys. You enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on. It was a good time talking some football here. Well, we've been here for about half an hour, maybe. Yeah, 35 minutes, almost 40 minutes. So, good episode. This is Jason, and I will see you guys next time.